Let's dive into the first of our 9 games here on this preview in Dalton. For the first time this year, you and I will be in attendance for one of these games. Number 14, Iowa State at Cincinnati, right down the road from here, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. The storyline to know in this game is, can Cincinnati spoil Iowa State's perfect season right now? So the Cyclones have started 5-0 for the second straight year. Before last year, Iowa State did not have a 5-0 record since 1980. Now the Cyclones go on the road to put their unbeaten record to the test against a Cincinnati team that's won their last 3 games following their season opening loss to Nebraska. And Cincinnati, as you can see right there, Dalton, is 1.5-point favorites according to DraftKings Sportsbook right now.
See, here's the thing. If the rumors are true from what Mitch Kaiser has been telling me, they serve Skyline chili in the Cincinnati press box. The real over-under is how much Skyline chili I'll be eating in the press box during the game.
That's true.
That's actually the real bet we got to look at. But no, it is. I kind of had this same feeling about, we saw the Ole Miss was favored over LSU last week. It seemed like, okay, they're the lower-ranked team. They should be the underdog. But something might feel fishy. And honestly, you could argue that this might even be the most even game that we have in this slate among these 9 games. Cincinnati's hot after the opening loss to Nebraska. Iowa State has been hot since the beginning of the season. Their defense has been playing really well. Rocco Beck's been playing efficient football. It's going to be a really fun game, and I think it is a big-time road test for Iowa State, considering the big win Cincinnati's coming off of at Kansas last week and just the momentum they have going right now on both sides of the ball.
So you have the Iowa State offense. Both quarterbacks in this game are on really hot starts this year. You have the Rocco Beck and the Cyclones. What should we know about them?
So we've talked so much about Iowa State and losing Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, and will they be able to adjust on the outside and get production from their wide receivers, right? And they've made up for it so far by using their 2 great tight ends, Ben Bramer and Gabe Burkle, running the football with Carson Hansen and Abu Sama. I think this is actually the first week now, and we've seen guys play well. Brett Eskilson's been good on the outside. Xavier Townsend. Chase Sowell had a big game this past week. I think this is really going to be the first week, and Arizona last week was good too because Arizona's got a pretty good secondary, but this is where Iowa State is going to want to target Cincinnati on the outside. The middle of Cincinnati's defense is really good at all 3 levels, especially if they get the big nose tackle, the Godfather Dante Corleone, back from injury this week. You've got him. You got guys like Jake Golday at linebacker, who's really good. Antoine Peak at safety is super aggressive, and keep in mind, Cincinnati and Iowa State run the same exact defense at 3-man front, 3-3-5, a lot of drop 8. Neither team is going to rush the passer a whole lot, but I think Rocco Becht is going to want to attack on the outside. Cincinnati's cornerbacks rank 117th in the country in coverage grade. It's really the one weak spot on their defense right now. You talk about the starters, especially Coastal Carolina transfer Matt McDoom, Logan Wilson on the other side. The cornerbacks have really kind of struggled. It's weird that we also have Bengals and Bearcats with a Logan Wilson on their team. But anyway, Rocco Becht throwing at or outside the numbers this year. And it's funny because last year I talked so much about how good Rocco Becht was at throwing over the middle of the field. This year he's throwing well on the outside. 88 passing grade at or outside the numbers, 16th best in the country. 7 big-time throws is 8th most. 78.8% air yards percentage. 5th highest in the country when he's throwing at or outside the numbers. I think, funny enough, Iowa State has gotten this far on offense by running the football, getting in 12 personnel, and using their tight ends. And sometimes that implies the tight ends getting outside the numbers too, Bramer and Burkle. But I think this is a moment where Iowa State can really test those wide receivers and see, can these guys get us through a big game as well and really get the last piece of this offense, to get this offense more well-rounded, right? Because, yes, they got 2 good backs. They've got Rocco. They've got 2 good tight ends. But the outside is the question. If they can throw to the outside with the same success they have the first few games, they could be at a big advantage here because Cincinnati's cornerbacks are really the one big weakness on this defense.
Absolutely. My match to watch is all about the quarterback, too. Brendan Sorsby, who's been on a scorching hot start to his season right now. Didn't start off that way, though. Only a 46.1 passing grade in the loss to Nebraska. But since then, he has been one of the best quarterbacks in the nation over the last few weeks. 92.2 PFF grade on the year is the best in college football. He has had 85-plus grades in each of the last 3 games. He has great touch and really good mobility, too. You see right there, 86.6 rushing grade. That is 3rd among all quarterbacks in the country. But Iowa State's defense will present a similar challenge to the one Sorsby struggled with Nebraska in terms of how good their secondary is. The Cyclones right now are tied for 34th in the nation in coverage grade, while the Cornhuskers were 24th right now in coverage grade. So still really good secondaries. But what makes this game different, though, is that Nebraska played man coverage in that game on over 60% of the dropbacks Sorsby has. Iowa State, meanwhile, plays man coverage only 12% of the time this year. That's 115th in college football. And against zone coverage, Brendan Sorsby has a 90.7 passing grade. That is 10th among all quarterbacks in the country. He has 5 big-time throws and no turnover-worthy plays against zone coverage. So yes, the secondary for Iowa State is just as good as the secondary for Nebraska, but it's a different matchup, though, because Nebraska plays a lot of man coverage and did so a lot in that game. Iowa State, meanwhile, is almost an exclusive zone defense.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's going to be interesting with both of these quarterbacks because the way these two defenses are exactly the same with those three-man fronts, they're never going to be elite pass rush teams. Both of these teams within the bottom 15 of pass rush grade this year. So Sorsby and Rocco Becht are going to have a lot of clean pockets to work with. But you do make a great point about Nebraska and the man-to-man coverage. Even going back to last year, those are the types of teams that Cincinnati struggled with because of some difficulties they've had at wide receiver. We're going to see a test for their wide receivers also, and I do like that they've really zoned in on either early in the year and in that Nebraska game in week 1, they were trying to figure out, okay, who are our top guys? Who are the best receivers that we have? Who's going to get the football most often? Last week especially, they've really locked in on Cyrus Allen and Caleb Goody, a couple of speed threats. Curious to see if Iowa State changes their usual mode of operation and coverage at all, but if it is a lot of zone coverage, I do think you're right. Cincinnati stands a better chance, and both of these teams, there are places, especially with so many clean pockets they're going to have, where they can nitpick their way through these defenses. They just need the quarterbacks to make the throws.
So Dalton, ultimately, Iowa State, who is currently an underdog as a top 15 team going on the road against an unranked team, are you taking that, or are you saying the Cyclones will beat Cincinnati?
I do think we would look at Cincinnati a lot different had they had a better game plan in that Nebraska game. I think they could have leaned on their run game more and won that game, and we would look at this game a lot different if the final outcome went Cincinnati's game in that week. You know, I think it was a big win they got on the road last week against Kansas, a very good Kansas offense that did expose them on the outside, but I think the more I look at these two teams, especially the fact that it's here in Cincinnati, I think it's a very, very even game. I think this is arguably the hardest game to pick this week. Maybe there's one or two more that are pretty close, depending on your opinion of the teams. But this is a tough one because I think these teams are very similar in style. They both want to have balance in their offense. I'm going to ride with the home team. Again, similar feeling that I had with Ole Miss being the favorite over LSU. I'm like, something's up there. And I do think their defense can keep them in it. I think the run defense, especially if Corleone is back from injury this week, I think Iowa State could have some difficulties running the ball on Cincinnati. The run defense is arguably the strongest part of their whole team. And you mentioned it, Sorsby is raging hot right now after week 1. And maybe, just maybe, we can chalk that up to Nebraska's pass defense just being really good. Because we even saw them against Michigan. They got beat on the ground, right? They didn't get beat through the air with Bryce Underwood, so Nebraska's got a good secondary that Cincinnati just couldn't crack through. Maybe Sorsby can make enough throws in this game, and they still want to get in the running game with Sorsby, with Tawi Walker, with Evan Pryor. 50-50 game to me. I'll take the home team. I believe I have it 27-24.
Yeah. I have it 30-27, but I have Iowa State winning. Pixel in the chat says he has Cincinnati upsetting Iowa State, which actually really technically is not an upset considering their favorite. But also Drake Holiday in the chat is saying he's got Iowa State winning this game too. So it is truly a 50-50 ball game.
I think there's the next game we have here too is hard. I think is harder to pick than people think. But you could argue, I think easily, that this is the hardest game of the week to pick.
I think both quarterbacks in this game will have success against both defenses, so we should be in for a shootout in this one. But I do think Iowa State's secondary, even as much as they play zone coverage and even as good as Brendan Sorsby has been against zone coverage, I do think it presents a similar challenge to the one he faced against Nebraska. So I think Iowa State will come up with enough stops in this game to win. I have Iowa State continuing their perfect season, 30-27. Iowa State will be 6-0 for the second straight year. Last time they were 6-0, 1938. So it's been an incredible couple years so far for Matt Campbell over there at Iowa State. So I have 30-27, the Cyclones taking down the Bearcats and what should be the best noon game, and also a game that we will be in attendance for, Dalton. If anyone's watching this video right now that will be at that game, hit us up. We'd love to meet you guys in Nippert Stadium this Saturday.